Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a pie crust from scratch. This is a great recipe to have in your baking arsenal as we prepare for the holidays. And what is the holidays without some pies? If you want to learn how to make this pie crust from scratch, keep watching. This pie crust is known as a mealy pie dough. It works well with the bottom crust or a single crust pie like a sweet potato or pumpkin pie. However, if you're looking for a flaky crust or need a double crust pie like an apple pie, this is not the recipe you should use. To make this pie crust, you're going to need some all-purpose flour, some sugar, some cold unsalted butter. We're going to measure out some egg yolks, 1 ounce of egg yolks, ice cold water, and you're going to need some salt. So let's cut up our butter. An easy way to cube the butter is to cut it lengthwise in half and then turn it 90 degrees, cut it again, and just dice it. So we're going to start by adding our sugar to our flour, and we're just going to give that a quick whisk. Here we want to measure out our egg yolks. You see that one yolk is only 0.7 ounces. We need 1 ounce. So we're just going to add another yolk and take some out till we get 1 ounce. So here are my egg whites that I saved. I can always use that for an omelet or something, but I never get rid of my egg whites. So now I'm combining my water with my egg yolks, and then I'm gonna add my salt. I'm gonna mix that together. You wanna give that a good mix because you want that salt to dissolve. You also wanna keep this cold. I'm gonna put that back in the refrigerator while I work on cutting my butter into my flour. Now it's time for us to add our butter to our flour. Again, make sure your butter is cold. You can use a pastry cutter, a fork, or even your hands, but I prefer using my hands. We're looking for a mealy texture. We want to combine all those butter pieces. We do not want to see any pieces of butter. We're looking for a mealy texture that resembles coarse crumbs. Now we're ready to combine everything. I have a little extra flour on the side just in case I have to add a little extra flour to my dough. I'm making a well in the middle of the bowl and I'm adding my egg and water mixture. I'm reserving just a little bit of the mixture because you don't want your dough to be too wet. Again, you don't want it to be too wet and you don't want it to be too dry. You want the dough to hold when you pinch it, but not to be too wet or sticky. If it's too dry, you may need to add a little more water if it's not coming together. So as you can see, my dough is still a little bit dry, so I need just a little bit more water. I'm adding a little more water to the container that had my mixture in there. And I just need just a little bit more water. So now that it's coming together, this is what you're looking for. It should come together, your bowl should be empty. And you should be able to get a nice ball without the dough sticking to your hands. So now I need to wrap my dough in 2 equal parts using plastic wrap. Before I wrap my dough, I want to break the dough in half evenly. So I'm just measuring my dough. So my dough weighs 688 grams. So This is why I love a scale. We could easily break this in half. So when I cut my dough, I want it to measure 344 grams. So here I've broken my dough up into 2 equal parts, and I'm just wrapping it with the plastic wrap. I'll make it flat so I can create a disc. Once I've wrapped them, I'm going to put them in the refrigerator for at least 4 hours. I'll leave mine in the refrigerator overnight, and I'll roll it out tomorrow. Once we've let our dough chill, we're going to take the dough out and let it sit for a few minutes. If you let it chill overnight, I suggest letting the dough sit about 15 minutes. Lightly flour your surface in your rolling pin and then start rolling from the center outward, turning the dough as you go. We turn the dough to keep our shape. It doesn't have to be the perfect shape because we're going to cut the edges, but you want to continue to turn the dough. If your dough feels like it's sticking to the surface, add a little more flour to your work surface. Again, we're rolling from the center outward. Your dough should be about 1/8 of an inch thick and a couple of inches wider than your pie plate. This will give you enough dough to fill the dish and crimp the edges. So I'm gently lifting my dough and placing it on my pie plate with my rolling pin. Here I'm using my aluminum disposable pie pan. Now I'm pressing in my sides, making sure it's snug. I'm going to thin out my ends just a bit, and then I'm going to cut the excess dough. You want to leave at least 1.5 inches of dough to work with. So now I'm going to tuck my dough under and let it rest on the edge of the pan. Do this all the way around, and then we'll start crimping our crust. So I'm just taking my thumb on the inside of the pan and pushing outward, and taking my thumb and my index finger from my other hand and just kind of crimping, just closing it in. I'm going to continue to do this around the pan. If it's not perfect, don't worry about it, because we're going to come back in and really define those points. I call them points. We want to define those points on the crust. If you feel like your dough is too thin in some areas, take a piece of the scrap and tuck it under, and then continue to crimp. So again, I'm just taking my thumb, press it in, and using my thumb and my index finger to squeeze to get a nice point. That's the best way I can describe it. So I'll let this dough firm up, and then I'll go back in and really define the points. The more defined it is, the more you'll see the definition once you bake your pie, because it's going to lose some definition. So that's why I like to go in and really define those points. Here I'm just docking my dough with my fork, and I'm just docking it, which is just poking holes in my dough. We dock our dough to release some of the steam so your pie crust won't rise when it's baking. And there you have it, guys, your perfect homemade pie crust, ready for any holiday pie you can imagine. Here I'm just filling my pie crust with my sweet potato pie filling. If you want to know how I made this sweet potato pie, I'll leave a link in the description box. I use this crust for my pumpkin pies, sweet potato pies, as well as my pecan pies. I'm hoping this recipe adds a little extra sweetness to your holiday table. If you have any questions about this recipe, drop them in the comments below and I'll be sure to answer them. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out when I upload new baking videos. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.